Everybody knows that DAT is the load board, but did you also know it's a great tool to help maximize your profits in your trucking company? Personally, hands down, DAT is my favorite load board by far. But did you also know it offers tools like market conditions, trend lines, and you can look up rates so you know what's going on in the markets you're going into? So if you're not already using the DAT tools to maximize your profits in your trucking company, today we're going to go over my favorite tools that I use pretty much every single day to make sure my trucks land in great markets and I'm knowledgeable with everything that's going on in the transportation industry. So right here, we're starting off with the dashboard of the DAT load board as the first page. On the left-hand side, you see all the little options you have. Just go down over here and hit tools. So right now, we're going to start with my favorite option that they have, my favorite tool that I use every single day. It's market conditions. So you see the market conditions right here? Just go down and click market conditions. And it's going to take you to this map over here, which is going to show you all the hot markets that are going on. Let's get into this so I can teach you how to use this properly. So over here, as you can see, we have the market conditions map. Up here, you're going to have -1 day, so it's yesterday, the past 8 days, and the past 30 days. And you also have current. Current is only good if you're using it later in the afternoon. Once the market calms down, then it's really going to tell you more realistic numbers. What you want to be looking at is the day before to see if the market was good or not. All right, we're going to be taking a look at the day before, like I said, because usually when the market gets really hot and they don't cover the lows that day, it definitely spills over to the next day, especially when it's like super hot. So let's take a look at Indy here, for example. So you got a very tight capacity, over 5,200 loads posted, 619 trucks. Remember, not everybody posts their truck, so these numbers are not 100% accurate. But with that ratio, even if you cut that 5,200 in half and double the truck counts, you still have a lot better load to truck ratio. And then the MCI is very tight, but then when you go over here and you start looking at the load searches, you can't really look at that either because it shows you 11,870 load searches, 3,937 truck searches. Brokers could be searching for rates to see if they're competitive with the lows they have. Trucking companies are searching multiple times, maybe different areas or whatever, or deleting their search, redoing it. So these numbers are kind of tricky. So you really, what I look at the most is how many loads were posted, how many trucks were posted. I like to cut the loads in half and double the truck counts. And then if 84 MCI, that's pretty good. That's up there, you know what I mean? So I would not be upset about going to this market. I would feel comfortable with it. And this is the way I like to search the markets to make sure I'm sending trucks to good areas. And on top of doing all that, don't only just look at the maps and don't just look at it because it's red, because red doesn't mean anything. You have to look at these numbers. But also, if you're going to book a load to a different market, you want to see what's going on, search the loads actually. Go and search the loads and see what kind of rates they have for that day or even that same day, because most likely they're not going to move. They're going to go to the next day and they're still going to be paying that money. So just do your research, not just one way, but do it a couple different ways to make sure you're safe in the market that you're going into. So for example, I'm telling you I'd feel comfortable in Indy, right? We're looking at the day before. So let's take a look again. 5,200 loads, 619 trucks, 84 MCI, very tight, right? So today it's already 7:46 p.m. here in my time. So the business day is over. Let's click current and let's see what Indy looks like current. Look, today, 6,400 loads posted, 992 trucks, still a good market. So that gap between loads and trucks and just searching the loads, seeing what kind of rates are out there, that's how you're going to know if the markets are good. So please do your research. And if you do research properly, you're going to send your trucks to good areas and you're going to make the most money possible. Plus, if you want to get very technical about it, you could actually go back and check the 8-day average, right? So you want to go back, check the 8-day average, see how Indy, for example, has been doing for the last week plus, right? So you're going to look at it. They've been averaging over 3,100 loads, about 617 trucks. So you can see for the last week, this market has been steady. So that might make you feel better about going there just looking at this. So that's an extra way, extra step, extra layer of protection if you really want to get deep into it. Now, let me teach you what not to do with the market conditions map. False reds, man. You got to watch out for the false reds. For example, right here, Wyoming, South Dakota, right? It looks red. Everything looks good. You're like, oh my God, it's red. Let's go in there. It's a hot market. No, it's not. Look at this big area. This whole white border around this area. Look how big it is, right? You go here, 346 loads posted, 30 trucks in that big area. Do you really think that's a hot market? That's why you can't judge it by the color. You have to do more research. So I showed you a good market and I showed you a bad market. So please do your research. All right, we're back in the dashboard. Here's a quick tool you can use right within the dashboard just to look up the rates. So you have a quick rate lookup here. If you're not sure what kind of money you should be getting, let's look it up. We're just doing a hot market in Indianapolis, right? So let's look up Indianapolis. And for example, we want to go from Indianapolis, let's say to Dallas, Texas, right? I don't know why. I'm not a fan of Dallas, but let's just do it. You want to got a dry van. You search it right here, and then it's going to tell you everything you need to know right here. So it's saying spot rate is $2,400, and the contract rate is $2,331. So even though they don't pay that much going into Dallas a lot of times, you see that the spot rate right now is currently higher than the contract rate. So rates you should be looking at is anywhere from $2,187 to $2,556. Now, if the market's hotter, you might get a little bit more than this, but at least you can look at this and you're going to know exactly what's going on. So once you see that the spot rate is higher than the contract rate, you know you're in a position to negotiate. So this is just a quick lookup. There's another one we're going to take a look at here in a second. But I just wanted to show you this if you want to look up a rate really quick, or you're not sure what market you're in, not sure what you should quote a broker for a load. This is a good tool to use. I usually aim a little bit higher still, see what they do. And then if they start talking crap like, oh, no, you're quoting too high, I'll be like, no, I'm not. That's the spot rate right now. That's what's going on. Maybe I'm in the higher end of it, but I'm within it, right? So it's a really great tool to use. I use it every single time when I'm in the market, when I'm looking for certain areas to go to. You definitely should check it out as well. We're still in the dashboard. Let's check out another tool. It's called Trend Lines. I use it multiple times a week just to keep updated what's going on in the trucking world here with like numbers, statistics, fuel, national average rate per mile, all that stuff. So you just go right here where it says Trend Lines, click that, let it load up, and let's get into Trend Lines right now. This is such a great tool because DAT has so much analytics and data. It's crazy because we all know, in my opinion at least, it's the best load board. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest, so they definitely have a lot of stats, a lot of data, so they could back it up with what they're saying, right? So even if people want to argue with me, like, hey, you know, last year was better than this year. I don't know why they would say it, but people say it. I don't know. They don't have numbers to back it up. But then we could go back over here. So we go van load to truck ratio, right? So we're going to compare 2026 to 2025. Right here, load to truck. It's up 93.1% from last year. The spot rates are up 2.9% from last year. Month over month, from February to January, plus 11%, right? So, I mean, it's giving you all these numbers and analytics. So that way, like, you could take a look and compare. So, like, the last, obviously, before October, the 3 years before that were very bad. And then when people try to argue with you or tell you, like, this market's not good or whatever, no, you go over here, you get data, and you could actually see what's going on. I mean, look at this. Flatbeds from last year, the load to truck ratio is up 89.7%. That's absolutely crazy. I have no idea why the rates are only up like 2.9, 3.5% on some of his equipment, because with numbers jumping up this drastically, I can't believe the rates are not higher than what they are right now. But this is super good information that DAT offers. It's always good to look at, month, from last month to this month, from last year to this year. I look at it all the time. I look at every single month. I compare it. I see what's going on. This is only one of the tools in here. Let's get into the other one. So even within here, there's so many options. It's crazy. We're not going to go through all of them. Let's just click van demand and capacity, kind of just to check it out. So you got more maps in here. It basically tells you like how tight capacity is in the dry van market. As you look right now, pretty much besides California and Illinois, I mean, everywhere else is pretty tight capacity. So like it just shows there's more loads than trucks out here right now. So that's another good tool. Like I said, there's a whole drop-down box with a whole bunch of other ones for flatbeds and other stuff. We're not going to get into every single one right now. I'm just showing you like how many options you have for how much data you could actually look at so you can make decisions on what to do in the trucking market. Now we're going to scroll down just a little bit, right? I use this one several times a week, always checking on this, national spot rates, see what the national average is per trailer. Right now, the flatbeds beat out the refrigerated trailers. The reefers were beating the flatbeds for a little bit. Before that, the flatbeds were winning for the longest time. Right now, flatbeds at $2.94 national average per mile as of today. Reefers are at $2.84, and dry vans $2.43 national average. That's just the national average. If you're staying in regions, bouncing around hot markets, you should be getting a lot higher rates. You know what kills this is long hauls. People take long hauls for cheaper rates. That kills it down and brings the average per mile down. But this is a good indicator of what to look at to see what kind of rates you should be getting or what kind of rates you should be staying above right now. So I look at this at least several times a week, 100% guaranteed, always looking at it. Let's scroll down some more and check out the fuel, right? Oh man, it jumped up quite a bit, right? There was like at 486, it's a 507 national average. It was up like 24%, now up another 4.32%. Fuel is absolutely like a tragedy right now, but it is what it is. Hopefully it doesn't stay long. But I always look at this because they updated. I'm not exactly like sure how often, but it's updated pretty frequently, at least every couple of days, I believe, because it was just like 486 like yesterday or the day before. So I always like to look at this just so that way I know. So that way you can calculate, if your truck gets 6.5 to the gallon, or if your truck gets, 7 miles to the gallon, you could calculate it. Then you're going to know like what your fuel is per mile. So then you could add that to your rate, right? So automatically, you know, whatever rate you get minus the fuel, minus the driver, and now you know what kind of numbers you need to be at to be profitable. So these trend lines over here and on a DAT load board, amazing tool. I just showed you guys some of it. There's a lot more. I use it all the time, and you definitely need to be using it as well. So those are the features from DAT that I use all the time. If you have DAT already, you might want to check out if you need the upgraded subscription to have all these features available. If you don't have DAT, I'm going to have a link in my description. Please go check it out. It's going to help the channel if you use the link. But these tools are super amazing, super helpful. If you use them properly, they're definitely going to maximize your profits in your trucking company. Just from the market conditions map alone, man. If you're sending your truck to great areas to keep on getting good loads, high paying loads, imagine how much more money you're going to make just from that. Not to mention, DAT's doing a whole bunch of other stuff as well. They acquired Outgo, a factoring company. So I don't know if you ever search loads, you see the little $ right there in the load posting. That right there, that $ means that that broker is approved for their factoring company. So they're doing factoring, they're doing load boards. I mean, they have all these great tools to use. It's definitely a great company. You need to check them out. If you're in trucking, you definitely need to be using DAT, man. Great tools, awesome products. I highly recommend it. As you can see, like how excited I get talking about like the market conditions and all this stuff, because I actually use it every single day. I love it. It saves me and makes sure that my trucks get the most money possible when they go into those markets. Thanks for watching. Go check out BobbyLowe's.com for all the links to all the DAT, factoring, a whole bunch of other stuff. Also sign up to the newsletter. I try to keep people updated about hot markets every single time to make sure that everybody makes the most money possible.